Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind Raleigh. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got a trolley.
It's a replica from the Tom Hanks movie that was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
The real one is probably encased somewhere.
It's encased, but this one is like as close as you can get to the real thing.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. So what happens when two beloved worlds from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood finally meet? It's a beautiful day indeed. In a brand new PBS Kids special, Donkey, Hodie, and Friends welcome Daniel Tiger and his dad for their very first visit to someplace else, bringing together puppets, music, and lessons inspired by Fred Rogers himself. Joining us are Kristin DiQuollo, co-producer of Donkey, Hodie, and Chris Loggins, supervising producer of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, to share how this crossover came to life and why it's such a celebration of creativity, friendship, and problem solving. Welcome to the show, you two.
We're doing great.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right, so this is the first time Don Quixote and Daniel Tiger have shared the screen. How did the idea for this crossover come about?
It's been something we've been thinking about for, I would say, a few years. Well, definitely at least a couple of years, because we started writing it about 2 years ago. But Don Quixote premiered on air in 2021, and it's the second series produced by Fred Rogers Productions that features reimagined characters and worlds from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So ever since we launched Don Quixote, we thought about ways that we might start bridging it with Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Mr. Rogers. And Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood was the first series we created based on this. So we had started doing elements of that. We introduced trolley on Don Quixote. We introduced speed delivery service, but we thought at the beginning of season 3, the time was right to bring Daniel and Dad into someplace else and reimagine them as puppets.
And fans will notice some familiar nods to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Can you share some of the special details or some of these little Easter eggs that viewers should be looking out for?
Sure. Well, I think one big one is the Look and Listen song. Both of our series are very musically driven. Both of our series feature songs, reimagined songs from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but this is the first time the Look and Listen song is going to appear in either of our shows. And it is threaded throughout the special, so that's one really nice nod. And there are other things like trolley, and you want to talk about the clock?
Sure, yeah, it was fun for us to also include elements from Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood in this special. So what brings Dad Tiger and Daniel Tiger to someplace else is Grampy Hodie has a clock that he can't get to work, and viewers of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood maybe remember that Dad Tiger works at the clock factory, so he comes to help his old pal Grampy Hodie with his clock.
And Fred Rogers often emphasized creativity and perseverance. How do these values kind of show up in this special?
Lots of ways. We have lots of messages threaded throughout the special, but the first one is about meeting someone new. Daniel Tiger and Dad Tiger arrive on trolley, and it's Daniel and Donkey's first time meeting each other. And for a young child, that can be uncertain, that could be exciting, it could be scary. There's a lot of big feelings wrapped into that. So we offer a strategy for that in the form of course, a really groovy song about asking lots of questions to get to know each other better when you're meeting someone new. And we think that's also, it's just really great timing right now with back to school. A lot of kids are heading back to school and meeting new friends and new classmates. So we hope that's one example of a lesson that will really resonate with everyone.
And Donkey and Daniel persevere in their quest for the rainbow ball. Yeah. So that's also really a fun part of the episode.
Yeah.
And for families that may not watch regularly, why is now a great time to tune in, and how could they help keep supporting PBS and kids programming?
Every day is a great time to tune in. Every day is a beautiful day to watch our shows. But this, we hope, will really help bring forward the messages that are timely and timeless for all of us about managing feelings, problem solving, being resilient in the face of a challenge, meeting someone new, and just being really joyful, having a lot of fun, singing, dancing. I think that's stuff that we all need to appreciate, and it resonates now. And you can watch the special on your local PBS station. So supporting stations is really great.
And we're always thinking about children watching with their family, their parents, and caregivers, and we hope that they can watch together and then talk about the show after they've seen it, and hopefully use some of what's in these episodes in their lives, and that it resonates and stays with them. One thing that Fred Rogers said is if we can make things more mentionable, we can make them more manageable. So hopefully this is an entry point for families to talk about these type of things that we're covering in Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Don Quixote.
And is that the real trolley behind you?
It's a replica from the Tom Hanks movie that was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
The real one is probably encased somewhere.
It's encased, but this one is like as close as you can get to the real thing. The designers of that movie did an impeccable job recreating Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
All right, I just had to find out. Don't miss Daniel Tiger Visits Someplace Else. PBS depends on your support to keep programs like this on the air, so visit your local PBS station's website to donate and help keep these inspiring stories alive for future generations. I want to thank you two for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Generalized Pustular Psoriasis, or GPP, is a rare, chronic, and sometimes life-threatening skin disease that affects just a small fraction of people, but the impact can be enormous. With the first ever GPP Awareness Day that just passed, Mary Robinson and Dr. Adam Friedman are here to share what it's really like to live with this disease and why awareness matters so much. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Dr. Friedman, can you explain what GPP is and the unique challenges it creates for people?
Yeah, you started us very nicely. This is a chronic inflammatory disease that affects the entire body. As a dermatologist, though, I'll focus on the skin. The rash associated with GPP can occur anywhere on the body. It often is painful, itchy, but most notably can be covered in non-infectious pustules or blisters filled with pus. This condition is way beyond skin deep. It can cause fever, joint pains, lethargy, and even lead to hospitalization. Of note, this is not psoriasis. This is an independent condition, even though the name is a little misleading, and it, again, can be life-threatening. Beyond the physical nature, the appearance of this condition, which can be very disabling, this condition can affect every facet of one's life, which Mary, of course, will share with us. But we're talking about career, family, social life, you name it. A unique piece, though, which is why we're here today, is the fact that it's often misdiagnosed, or there are delays in diagnosis, which ultimately impacts all the things I just mentioned. So that's where education and awareness are going to be so central to supporting those who are suffering.
Mary, you've been living with GPP since 2021. What has your journey been like so far?
Well, thank you for asking me that question. So starting off the journey was it seemed dark, it seemed gloom. No one knew nothing. It was hard. And once I finally got the proper diagnosis, the proper care, my world brightened up again. So it was definitely hard living with it because there was a lot of unknowns. And as Dr. Friedman said, education is key. There was not a lot of education around it. So I felt alone, didn't understand it, couldn't understand it. So, now it's better. Education is becoming a lot more out now for it. So definitely education is key. And I'm going to always say that because it is something that you need dealing with GPP.
Why is this first GPP Awareness Day such an important step for the community?
It's a very important step because, as I stated, when I first started off, I didn't have the education. I couldn't understand it. I had no one to turn to. I couldn't talk with anyone that had it. So it's definitely a great start in that step to get the right information out, to let other know that, hey, if you have it, you're not alone. We're here for you. We're here with you. And it also brings the awareness to the loved ones that surround them. They would know how to handle it, how to help them, and, further encourage them to strive to live and not let GPP overtake their lives.
Dr. Friedman, what signs or symptoms should prompt someone to talk to their doctor?
Yes, I think that's one of the struggles here is that this can mimic so many other conditions because of the pustules. Often people think this is infectious. There's two pieces of that. One is if it's infectious, people tend to back away. But two, that infectious misdiagnosis leads to utilizing other medications that will have no effect on this. So my rule of thumb is if you got something related to your hair, skin, or nails, seek the care of a board-certified dermatologist. But until then, you can go to gppandme.com to get all the information about GPP and more for yourself and, of course, for your loved ones.
Excellent. One more time, can you give us that website where we can go to learn a bit more or get some support?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Berger Ingelheim, who supports this website, gppandme.com, because as you heard, there wasn't a lot of information out there, and now we have an incredible resource for both those suffering, but also those who take care of these patients.
Well, Dr. Friedman and Mary, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story today.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thank you so much.
Our next guest is unique. What do you get when you mix couture chaos, murder in paradise, and a comeback wedding with secrets that could pretty much kill? It's Another Simple Favor. It's the long-awaited sequel that reunites Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively for another round of sharp wit, killer fashion, and even deadlier twists, this time in Capri. Joining the cast is Tony winner Alex Newell, who plays Vicky, Stephanie's fierce and fabulous book agent. Welcome to the show, Alex. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
This sequel, it brings back a lot of wild energy from the original, but now we're in Capri with even more secrets and high fashion. What's it like stepping into the deliciously chaotic world?
Amazing. And I get to be in Capri. Who doesn't want that? And oh God, that backdrop is gorgeous.
Your character, Vicky, is Stephanie's book agent. Can you tell us a little bit more about them and what kind of dynamic they bring into the mix?
Chaos in the fun way. I think Vicky is somebody that everybody wants to be on vacation, and she's on a work vacation at that. So she's just trying to get a good book deal out of Miss Stephanie Smothers.
From Shucked on Broadway to a Paul Feig thriller in Italy, you've been booked and busy. What drew you to Another Simple Favor, and how did it feel to collaborate with this ensemble?
You know, when my agent texted me and said, "Hey, do you want your White Lotus moment?" I was like, absolutely. And she said, "Well, Paul is directing the sequel of A Simple Favor and wants you to come on out to Capri and play this role." And I was so honored because I'd worked with Paul on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist before. And so to come back and be actually directed by him and work with this incredible ensemble was just a dream come true. Everybody was so lovely.
And the movie blends comedy, mystery, and a little bit of glam, sometimes all pretty much in the same scene. What was your favorite moment in the film, or one that you think that you will always remember?
Oh my goodness. My favorite moment from the film that I think that entrance to Capri, the boat ride into it. I think that was just breathtakingly beautiful, just riding in onto it. Ugh.
And between the twists, the couture, and the cast, chemistry, what do you think will surprise audiences the most this time around?
The chaos. I mean, there is so much happening that you don't get a break from it. I think that's what they'll really take from it, but also kind of like what friendship is. I think we all have that frenemy and that friend that we all like to jab at and talk to, but we love them regardless.
Alex, thanks for joining me this morning. You should check out Another Simple Favor. It's available now on Amazon Prime. So what happens when you load a cruise ship with Christmas super fans, a few Hallmark heartthrobs, and more fake snow than the Bahamas has ever seen? You get Christmas at Sea, a brand new docu-series that set sail during Hallmark's 13th annual Christmas in July celebration. You know, this four-part series follows real-life fans living out their holiday dreams on the first ever Hallmark Christmas cruise, complete with karaoke, surprise proposals, ATV rides, and maybe a little matchmaking made on the seven seas. Joining us today are three of the stars helping to make all that happen: Taylor Cole, Andrew Walker, and Wes Brown. Welcome to the show, you three. How are you?
Great. How are you? How are you? Thanks for having
I'm
us.
doing okay. I'm not stuck out at sea. It's not Christmas time. All right. I guess you guys are doing better than me. You've all starred in plenty of Hallmark Christmas movies, but this time you're on a real-life cruise with real-life super fans. What made Christmas at Sea feel a little different?
This was a fan interaction that we have never got to experience. The level of connection and emotion and genuine storytelling and sharing with each other was unlike anything we've ever experienced. So to get the chance to document it was awesome. And I'm just glad that we got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And there's some really personal moments in the series, like a surprise proposal. I don't want to give it all away. Maybe a script pitch or two, a couple of grandmas celebrating their grandson. Was there any particular story that stuck with you?
Well, I think the people going through some health issues, obviously, because that's that's pretty extreme. It's life or death, and they've come out on the other end. And I think that and it's made them want to do something momentous in their life. Make a decision that they've always wanted to do, but they never really thought was the right time. And so I think some of those stories, and there was a few within the 5 story lines, those were the ones that really impacted me. I think the most. Yeah.
And we hear there was a Finding Mr. Shipmas competition and pretty much a full-on Christmas tree lighting ceremony. What were the most memorable cruise events to let's just say for each of you?
I mean, this is for sure by far the most memorable cruise I've ever taken in my life. And I think the most impactful or memorable moment for me was just walking out on stage at the celebration, the initial reveal of all of the talent, and to see what kind of reaction we got when we walked out on stage was incredibly breathtaking. I've never had that kind of feeling like a rock star. I felt like
so much joy, so much love. It was overwhelming. It really was beautiful.
For me, it was towards the end of the cruise. We worked with a lot of talented actors. Here are two of them right there, but we had a part where we did a complete ad lib where we had one of our writers write about a 7-page, it was almost like a poem, and I got to read it, and then our actors got to act it out in front of a huge live audience. And that was just, I mean, I barely got through it because I was trying to watch them do their thing. But there was so much stuff. And that's just one of them. That's just one of many. And I think the fans just absolutely loved it.
Andrew, you and Paul helped someone plan a proposal at sea. How did you guys manage to hold together with all those emotions and everything else going around?
Well, that was one of the storylines that I was talking about. She'd gone through a major surgery and came out on the other end. So it was, it was so, we were so vulnerable, it was such a vulnerable moment for all of us. And I think that's the beauty of a lot of these storylines, is that you're seeing real, genuine emotion. This isn't scripted. This is happening in the moment. And I think that we were caught off guard with how emotional it made us feel and tap into, things that we haven't felt in a long time. So to feel that empathy, for what these people have gone through, and to support them along the way, and to maybe fulfill a dream that they've had or something they've always wanted to do, they just didn't have the right forum to do it in, was incredibly rewarding and humbling.
And Hallmark fans are really a loyal group. My mom is one of them. And this docuseries kind of shows the connection between stars and their audience. And what did it mean to kind of celebrate that bond, especially in such an over-the-top, maybe silly, joyful way?
I mean, when you watch a Christmas Hallmark movie, it brings all of the feelings, all of the love, all of the joy. And really, they're not just watching the Hallmark movies, they live them. So you feel it in person. So it's beautiful.
All right, thank you, 30, for joining me this morning. Don't miss Christmas at Sea. It's a 4-part docuseries that's coming into your home this summer on Hallmark Channel, and it streams the next day on Hallmark Plus. Perfect for anyone who thinks Christmas could happen or should happen more than once a year. Hey, thank you, 3, for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Have a great day.
Ever wonder who's really footing the bill when kids head back to school? Turns out it's not just the parents. Nearly every teacher in the country is spending their own money to make sure classrooms are stocked and ready, sometimes hundreds of dollars every year. Joining us to talk about the rising cost of school supplies and what educators are doing to fill the gaps is Becky Pringle, president of the National Education Association. Welcome to the show, Becky. How are you?
It's good to be here, Dan. I'm good.
All right, we're hearing a lot about rising costs this school year. What's driving that, and how are tariffs and tight budgets making things worse?
So, Dan, I taught 8th graders the wonders of science for 31 years. And can I just tell you that I still feel it at this time of year. I feel the joy and the excitement, the enthusiasm, the anticipation that our students and our parents and educators are feeling. But I will tell you that this year, I would add another word for our parents and our educators, and that is anxiousness and anxiety in some cases, because of the rise in costs of everything from buying groceries to buying those back to school clothes and sneakers and backpacks and pencils, all of that. Our families are struggling to meet the needs of their children right now because of the economic insecurity and uncertainty and those tariffs, which are going to be rising again. We know that. We expect that to happen very soon here. So they're struggling, but not just them. Our educators are struggling too, because they have families and they're trying to stretch their dollars too, and they are digging into their own pockets. And they do that every year. But this year, We are estimating that most of them will spend upwards of $500 on meeting the needs of the students coming into their classroom. So they're buying backpacks and filling them. They're buying tissues and paper towels. They're buying extra snacks because cuts in the federal government have required that they try to meet those needs of students who are coming to their classrooms hungry. So a little anxiousness is out there as we go back to school.
So why are so many educators and staff still covering supply costs out of pocket? Shouldn't the system be catching up?
The system absolutely should be funding our public schools in a way that meets the needs of every student. We know that in certain parts of this country, some students have greater needs. Those students in rural North Carolina, they have greater needs because our school system is designed that they don't fund them adequately. Same thing in our urban areas where they're not funded adequately. And so who fills those gaps? Well, educators always believe they need to step up as best they can to fill those gaps. It's not okay that the federal government has made cuts to our nutrition program. There in North Carolina, we're looking at over 500,000 students being affected by that. Cuts to Medicaid, that's affecting students and children in North Carolina. That's 3 million people that will be affected by the cuts to Medicaid, and that directly impacts whether or not they have health care. Our kids can't learn if they're hungry. Our kids can't learn if they're not healthy. And so those cuts are directly impacting our students and our schools and the people who have dedicated their lives to teaching and nurturing and driving and feeding and counseling our students. Our government needs to do better. We need to provide those funds for our students and for our schools.
So what can parents, neighbors, and communities actually do to help support their local schools right now?
We have parents themselves who are struggling that are helping other families. We have communities coming together, especially in our community schools, which we're working so hard to expand, where they're coming together to try to meet the collective needs of that community and our families and those schools. But more is needed. And that's why we're asking everyone to join our movement. Go to NEA.org/protect, where you'll learn about all of these issues, including the threat to public education itself, which is the foundation of this or any democracy. So help us fight against privatization and voucherizing our schools so that money isn't being taken from them. On that site, you can not only learn more, but you can take action, from writing to your member of Congress to joining us on the front lines as we mobilize for Labor Day. Join us because collective voice and organized people will always win over organized money. Help us get the resources our students need and they deserve.
And finally, where do people go if they want to learn more or maybe even get involved?
Please go to NEA.org/protect.
Thanks for joining us, Becky.
Thank you so much.
Kelsey Hart has been making serious moves in country music, earning millions of streams, touring across the country, and writing songs for some of the biggest names in his genre. With his new single, Something That You'd Miss, it shows a little more personal, reflective side and is the follow-up to his high-energy hit Fireworks. We're catching up with him today ahead of the release. Welcome to the show, Kelsey. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, Something That You'd Miss. It tells a vivid story. What's the backstory to this song?
Yeah, so it's a song I was a part of writing last year that one of my buddies, we were on a songwriting retreat, and he just started telling a story, kind of about a situation that he had been in that was similar to this, where wasn't anything, that really happened, bad in the relationship. The girl just, she had moved a long way from her hometown to be with him, and just decided, it just wasn't for her, so that's where the story stemmed from. And, he just said, I guess if I was more like her hometown, then I'd be something she'd miss too, and so that's where the song started. And, you hope that's something you never have to go through, but that's the reality for some folks. So.
And your debut, Life With You, it really connected with some fans. How does fan feedback tend to influence the direction you take with new music?
Yeah, no, Life with You was certainly, it's really cool getting to hear all the stories on that. And I think anytime we step into a room, you're hoping to write something that people can hang on to and kind of put to their life. And we're not just telling our own stories. We're trying to, every time we're writing songs, we're trying to help tell other people's stories. So that's the goal every time.
And I always like to ask musicians and artists about their influences. And it's not the same way about like, hey, who are your favorite influences? Outside of the music genre, what type of other art or artists, could be actors, writers, authors, filmmakers, what other artists out there kind of inspire you and your work when you go in to write music?
Oh man, as far outside of the music business, I mean, if I'm the first person that came to mind was Will Ferrell. And I just think of, a guy like him, as, the comedian, the funny guy, like not taking life so serious all the time. I think that's just a good approach to have, so I think the lightheartedness of a guy like him, is crucial.
And you've written for other artists as well. What is different about creating music for yourself versus writing for somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, we're always, kind of trying to write in the direction of what I'm doing because I don't have a ton of time to write anymore. But it also just, at the end of the day, we can't record every single song that we're part of writing. So we'll just kind of break them down and see what we think, could possibly work well for another artist. And so I don't know if I think a ton about the differences of it. It's more of, kind of writing in my direction and then taking it and seeing what we can do.
So where does inspiration strike most when you're like writing new music? Are you like in the shower and realize, hey, I've been humming this little song, or out on tour with a guitar strumming around? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it just kind of comes from just daily life. And sometimes, hearing somebody say something, it can really even come from a conversation, the way somebody says something, or, you can pull titles and ideas from anything, and probably my favorite way to write a song is just going in to the room with a good idea, something that we can really, write around. So.
And you've been out touring. Is there a recent moment or some like fan connection or anything that when you're on stage that it kind of stuck with you lately?
It's every night, it's kind of the same, with Life with You. After we'll play Life with You as our last song, or one of our last songs. And then we'll do the meet and greets at the end of the night. And it's always the coolest part to me is just getting to talk to the fans and hear, their personal stories about, how the songs, have affected them and stuff. So I think every night that's probably my favorite part.
Kelsey Hart's new single, Something That You'd Miss, is out Friday, August 22nd. You can find it on all the streaming platforms and get some of his tour info over at kelseyhart.com. Hey, Kelsey, thanks for joining me this morning.
Hey, thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate you.
And that is it for Rise Unwind Raleigh. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, email me. Go to our website. That's riseunwindtv.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram at Rise Unwind. We're also on YouTube. Same address at Rise Unwind. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, click the little bell, all that other good stuff. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.